Hello students, welcome to English class. Today we will come to the second unit, and the name of the unit is the frames. Do you have any idea about the theme of the unit from the title, the frames? Okay, if you haven't, just look at the picture given there and look closely and find out the images that you can find out, that you can identify from this given picture. I think that will give you an idea about the theme of this unit. What all things can you see there? Okay, look at closely and try to identify the figures that you can. What all things can you see here? I think a number of human faces are given here. A number of humans are included there in this picture. Then what else you see? You see an eye. Okay, we do not know whose eye is shown here. An eye is there. Then what else can you see here? Okay, a camera you can see. Okay, then a clapboard. Okay, and a dish antenna, and okay, likewise you can identify a number of images within this picture. Can you say which is the area in which all these things are associated? Camera, clapboard, different humans, and all these things. Okay, no doubt it is about cinema films. Okay, then okay, one more thing. Can you say why a number of human figures are shown here? What may be the reason? Okay, it is to show that it's a joint effort. It is not the work of a single person. A number of people are involved in making a film. Can you identify some of the people who are involved in making a film? Okay, the main people whom we are thinking: actors, then director, scriptwriter. Okay, likewise. And then in addition to, we know that there are a number of people working behind it, like a cameraman, costume designer, choreographer, light boys, technicians, art directors, musicians, singers, stunt masters. So likewise, however, in making a film, a number of human beings are involved. It's a joint effort of so many people. Okay, so the second unit is about films. So the first lesson that we have to study here is a Project Tiger, written by Satyajit Ray, who is known as one of the greatest film makers. So in this lesson, he is narrating one of his experiences in shooting a film in which he included a tiger. Okay, so I think you know a number of even Malayalam films in which different animals are included. Okay, can you say some of them? I think you may be, or you will be able to tell so many names. But I think some of the films in which some animal actors are included, like Ringmaster. Okay, so many dogs are there. Then CID Musa, there also dog is there. Then the film Tapana, Mrugaya, okay, no doubt, Pulimurugan. Okay, so many films are there. I think you will be able to mention so many films, even in Malayalam, in which animals are included as actors. So in this lesson, a tiger was included. So that experience Satyajit Ray mentions here in this lesson. And the name of the lesson is Project Tiger. So in the first paragraph, he tells about the speciality of Hollywood films. What's the speciality of Hollywood films? They are, Satyajit Ray feels that they are able to use animals very effectively in films. That's why he says that no one can beat Hollywood when it comes to making films with animals in them. So they are using animals in films. Okay, so that's the specialty of Hollywood. And he mentions one or two examples in which animals were used very effectively. And a film which he saw in his childhood. One he mentions about a dog, see, an Alsatian called Rin Tin Tin. This dog's acting was more impressive than a human's. So effectively, animals were used in films in Hollywood. Then another film he mentions, later we got to see 3 or 4 other films with a collie called Lassie. This collie also is a dog, a breed of dog. Okay, like we say Alsatian or Pomeranian or whatever it is. So this also is a breed of dog. So he mentions the case of some of the animals, some of the dogs used in these films to show that in Hollywood they have used animals very effectively in films. So these dogs, trained dogs, and even though they were animals, even though they were dogs, they were considered like a real star, like a famous star it is mentioned. So they were given equal importance and even equal amount like a human actor. So that's why it is mentioned these trained dogs were famous stars in their own rights, and the money they earned was no less than what a real film star got. So even though in the case of animals, a lot of money was spent by the directors for the films. So such effectively they used the animals. So that's why he says that their owners could easily make as much as 100,000 rupees from just one film. Why it is mentioned 100,000 rupees? A lot of amount can be used. So these animal actors were given good amount and they were treated very respectfully by the other people who involved in this film. So that's why the term reverently is used here. I realized how reverently these animal actors were treated when I happened to see the shooting of a film 20 years ago in Disney studio in Hollywood. So he mentions some of his experiences to show that these animals were treated very respectfully like a human. So he happened to see the shooting of a film in which a dog was one of the main actors. Okay, so I read the studio to find that the shooting had not yet started, that is even before the shooting started. The cameraman was getting the lights ready. It is customary for actors to be present, when the lights are arranged for they have to show the cameraman how they will walk or when they will, where they will stand in a particular shot. So in all the films, before taking the real shot, they will arrange everything, even the lights and everything will be arranged, and even the actors will move and speak as they have to do in the real film, to see how effective it will be, and if it is needed they will think of some changes, okay, in a particular shot. Then, but while they take such a practice there, the famous actors, they won't come. Then who will come? People who are having their physical similarity. So they are called the stand-in. So who is a stand-in? A person, it is mentioned, a stand-in is usually a person who is physically similar to the real star. യഥാർത്ഥ നടന്റെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നടിയുടെ അതേ രൂപത്തിലുള്ള അതേ ആകാര പ്രകൃതിയുള്ള വേറൊരാൾ, അയാളാണ് ഈ ആദ്യത്തെ ഈ ഒരു കാര്യങ്ങൾ ശരിയാണോ എന്ന് നോക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് അവിടെ വരികയും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മൂവ്മെന്റ് നടത്തുകയൊക്കെ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് അങ്ങനെയുള്ളവരെ എന്ത് പറയുന്നത്? സ്റ്റാൻഡിൻ. സ്റ്റാൻഡിൻ ഈസ് യൂഷ്വലി എ പേഴ്സൺ ഹു ഇസ് ഫിസിക്കലി സിമിലർ ടു ദ റിയൽ സ്റ്റാർ. അല്ലെ, ഫിസിക്കലി സിമിലർ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞർത്ഥം എന്താണ്? ശാരീരികമായിട്ട് ഒരേ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരേ ശരീരപ്രകൃതിയുള്ള ഒരേ രീതിക്കുള്ള ആ യഥാർത്ഥ സ്റ്റാറിന്റെ അതേ ശരീരപ്രകൃതിയുള്ള ഒരാൾ വന്നിട്ട്, അല്ലെ, they will make the movements as the real star. Then the cameraman and the light boys, they can make arrangements if it is needed. And in the case of the famous stars, they will arrive only at the time of the real shot. Then what did he see there? So while he came to the studio, which is studio? Disney studio. So he noticed that actors were ready, stand-ins were ready, and in this film the protagonist was a large dog. Protagonist, that here refers to the main actor. The main actor was a dog. So all the arrangements were ready, and the cameraman asked everyone, shouted everyone to take their position. So all the stand-ins came there and took the position. പറഞ്ഞനുസരിച്ച് എല്ലാവരും അവരവരുടെ പൊസിഷൻ എടുത്തു. But this dog didn't move. So Satyajit Ray was confused. He thought that okay, maybe like the dog didn't understand, or the dog was not required in the next shot. That's what he thought. ഒന്നെങ്കിൽ ഈ പട്ടിയുടെ ആവശ്യമില്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിലോ ആ പട്ടിക്ക് അദ്ദേഹം പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങൾ മനസ്സിലായിട്ടല്ല എന്നൊക്കെ അദ്ദേഹം വിചാരിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടാകും. Then happened something surprising. What was that? Before I could ask someone, a strange thing happened. From nowhere appeared a little dwarf, followed by another man carrying a hairy dog skin. Who is a dwarf? A short person. I think you all have seen the film Al-Fudadib. Okay, there are a number of dwarfs, short people. Okay, so such a dwarf came there, and another person carrying a dog skin. Then what happened? Then to my perfect amazement, the dwarf went down on all the fours on a chalk mark on the floor, just like an animal, and the dog skin was draped over. So this dwarf, it is mentioned, went down on all the fours. അതാണ് അതുകൊണ്ട് അർത്ഥമാക്കുന്നത്, അല്ലെ, പട്ടി നാല് കാര്യം നിൽക്കുന്നത് പോലെ ഈ മനുഷ്യൻ വന്നിട്ട്, അല്ലെ, കൈകളും കാലിലും വെട്ടി നിൽക്കുന്നത് പോലെ നിന്നു. And the dog skin was draped over him. That means covered over him. So he looked like a dog. I think that in the film Ringmaster also there is a scene like that, in which our Guinness Pakru is draped, or is coming like a dog in dog skin. Okay, likewise a similar situation here we can say. So why did he mention this incident? So he mentioned this incident to show that even these animals were treated so respectfully like a real human. നമ്മൾ കണ്ടു ഫേമസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സ്റ്റാർട്സിൻ്റെ കേസിൽ അവർ യഥാർത്ഥ ഷൂട്ടിലേ വരത്തുള്ളൂ. ബാക്കിയുള്ള ഈ ട്രെയിനിങ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ നോക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് അവരുടെ സ്റ്റാൻഡിനായിരിക്കും എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. അവരുടെ രൂപപ്രകൃതികൾ വേറൊരാളായിരിക്കും എന്നാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഡോഗ് മെയിൻ ക്യാരക്ടർ ആയപ്പോൾ ആ ഡോഗിന് പകരം ഒരു സ്റ്റാൻഡിൻ എ ഹ്യൂമൻ അല്ലേ, എ ഡാഫ് having almost the size of. So he mentioned this incident to show that even these dogs were considered respectfully like a real human hero. Okay. അപ്പോൾ എന്താ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ഹോളിവുഡ് വി സോ ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് അബൌട്ട് ഹോളിവുഡ് ഫിലിംസ്. അപ്പം അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത പറയാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. ദാറ്റ് മീൻസ് ദേ യൂസ് ആനിമൽസ് very effectively in films. Then he mentions the case of another film in which birds were included. It is easy to use animals, especially dogs, etc., in films, but it is very difficult to use birds. And even in the case of Hollywood, even birds were used in films. So such a film is mentioned. That film is named Birds. So it is not difficult to train a horse or a dog, but have you ever heard of trained ravens? Not just one or two, but nearly 100 of them. അല്ലെ, നമ്മുടെ കാക്കയുടെ രൂപമുള്ള ഒരു ബേർഡാണ്. So he says that even that was made possible in Hollywood when the creator of some of the best suspense films in the history of cinema, Alfred Hitchcock, decided to make a film called The Birds. അപ്പോൾ ആൽഫ്രഡ് ഹിച്ച്കോക്ക് ബേർഡ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു ഫിലിമാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ എന്താണ് ഉപയോഗിച്ചത്, hundreds of trained ravens. So he mentions the case of this film to show that even birds were used in films. So it was difficult to get 100 ravens. So what did he do? So it is mentioned in the story, birds from all over the world start attacking humans. Hitchcock needed a variety of birds, but what was required in the largest number was ravens. Notices were placed in the press all over the United States, asking people to contact the filmmaker if they knew how to get hold of trained ravens. അപ്പം ഈ റാവൻസിനെ കിട്ടാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് എല്ലായിടത്തും നോട്ടീസൊക്കെ പതിച്ചു. If anyone had trained ravens, they should approach the director, etc. So what was the effect? Someone replied within a few days. He was asked to bring his birds and he arrived with almost 100 trained ravens. 100 trained ravens were brought to. And here he says that even though it was difficult to use birds, they made it possible in the film. അപ്പം അത് അവർ സാധിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും ഒന്നും അനുസരിച്ചു എന്നല്ല പറയുന്നത്. ഇവർ പറയുന്നതനുസരിച്ച് എല്ലാ പക്ഷികളും ഒന്നിച്ച് ഒരിടത്ത് ചേക്കേറുക അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ മൂവ്മെന്റ്സ് നടത്തുക എന്നുള്ളതൊക്കെ തന്നെ വളരെ എന്താ പറയുന്നത് ഇംപ്രസീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യമായിട്ടാണ് ഇദ്ദേഹം ഇവിടെ പറയുന്നത്. സോ ദ ഫിലിം ഈസ് ബേർഡ്സ് ബൈ ആൽഫ്രഡ് Hitchcock. Okay, I think it would be interesting to watch at least one scene from the film Birds. Okay, so if you want, I will show you the video. Okay, of a scene from the film Birds. Okay, watch it carefully. Okay, so that's the film Birds by Alfred Hitchcock. So there is a reference to the film to show that even animals were used effectively in Hollywood films. Okay, so then he is coming to another about his film named Padher Panchal. Needless to say, in our own country, it is not at all easy to find trained animals, although some films have been made in Bombay and Madras that involve walking with elephants, horses, and tigers. So, in the case of our country, Bollywood, it is not easy. It is not an easy task to get such trained animals. Even though we have used tigers, horses, elephants, etc., it's a very difficult task to get such a trained animals. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ട്രെയിൻഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആനിമൽസിനെ കിട്ടുക എന്നുള്ളത് ശരിക്കും ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുള്ള ഒരു കാര്യമാണ്. Okay, their performances did suggest that they were used to obeying commands. That means if they are trained, they will obey the commands and they can be made use of in this film. In Bengal, it is sometimes possible to find clever dogs, particularly police dogs, which are quite intelligent. It is easy comparing to the other animals. It is easy to get trained dogs, especially police dogs. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള police dogs, trained ആയിട്ടുള്ള dogs കിട്ടാൻ എളുപ്പമാണ്. If one is prepared to be patient, it is not altogether impossible to get good performances out of them, as we managed to do with Polo in Padher Panchal. So if one is prepared to be patient, it is not altogether impossible. That means it is possible. പക്ഷെ നല്ല ക്ഷമയൊക്കെ വേണം അല്ലേ? അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ നല്ല ക്ഷമയോടെ ചെയ്യുവാണെങ്കിൽ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താണ്, ഈ മൃഗങ്ങളെ ഉൾക്കൊള്ളിച്ചുകൊണ്ടുള്ള സിനിമ എടുക്കുക എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇമ്പോസിബിൾ അല്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ അർത്ഥം എന്താണ്? ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് റിയലി പോസിബിൾ. സോ ഹി മെൻഷൻസ് ദ കേസ് ഓഫ് ഹിസ് ഫിലിം Padher Panchali, in which he was successful or he could use such an animal. Then, so it is easy to use dogs to act in a film. But what about using a tiger in a film? He says that he could do such a thing also. So what were the difficulties he had to face? How did he get the tiger? So all these things are mentioned in the next paragraphs. Okay, but we will discuss it next class. So the first seven paragraphs, you read carefully and also complete the side questions. And also there is no need of reminding you to learn the meaning of the words that you do not know meaning and spelling of words. Okay, we'll see you next day. Thank you.